Hello. Hi. Welcome to my kitchen. Thankfully, I'm not outside. It's very cold and dreich and wet in Aberdeen. I'm hoping that this has gone live. I'm hoping I'm on time. Let me just have a wee look-see. Yes. Hi. Excellent. How lovely. So, I've got two pairs of glasses here, ladies. I can see that Trisha and Morag and Stuart are watching, and Eunice and Noreen and Anne Patterson. Lots of people joining us tonight, which is lovely. I don't know how the weather is with all of you over there, because Pam Dignan, great, and Anne Mackenzie, lovely to have you. It's very dreich in Aberdeenshire. It is pouring with rain. It is not very nice. I'm really pleased. Hi, good evening, Linda. Really pleased not to be in the garage or in the hut. Brian, great to see you tonight too, and Charlie, and Susan, and Andy, and Liz, and Gordon Bullock. Great. Kathy McManus, good evening, Fiona. Good evening to you, Kathy. Colin Manders and Anika Smith, hello. And Gordon Calder, hi Fiona, hi, good to see you, Gordon. Lorraine, hello Lorraine, how are you? Anne Coy and Robert and Mary Wilson, I'm very well, thank you. Maggie Smith and Maggie Begg and Rhoda McDonald. Brian Green, wet and miserable in Greenock. Not surprising. Tina, good evening. How is it in Inverbervie, Tina? Ronald Foley rather. And Morag Gray wants to be in my video. Come along and join us, Morag. Emmanuel Peters, Flora and Sue and Isabel. Great. How lovely. Well, many of you will know. And Nan Mackenzie. Kel Bjerg is watching from Denmark, Francis. The golfer is over there just now. Just Kitty. Hi, Kitty Crawford from Killyleigh is watching. Hi, Kitty. And the golfer, just to keep you, up to date with what's happening in the kitchen, because it's only the two of us and the dogs. He's making a little sandwich. He's just come in from work, and because I'm not being very helpful at the minute, we are going to have dinner later. I am going to cook. Why have I got two pairs of glasses? Does anyone else do this? I'm kind of looking at this and thinking, can I read better with these? No. Or these big Harry Potter jobs, I can read better with these. Hi Susan, hi Raymond, and Maggie, and Denny Barnes. Hello Denny, Happy New Year. I don't know if I'm allowed to say Happy New Year anymore, because no one's happy. That's the problem. There's nothing much. I'm here to try and make everyone happier. And Angela and Uncle Alistair are watching from Mulgavy. Mike Wilson, hi to the golfer from us in Bankery. Are you saying anything back?
Yeah.
Oh. Hello. Kirstine and Andrew, they're watching in Charente, and Tina, and if only I could read as quickly as you're all joining us. It's cold in Inverbervie and wet. And Angela and Alistair are watching in Mulgai, and Irene is sharing this, and Margaret. Great. Well, Phyllis Urquhart loves this already, and Lorraine is saying hi to you, Francis. And John Crawley and Alan June Douglas. Great, well, wonderful. Well, I think we should kind of get going. I do have a special request from Moira in East Kilbride. Moira was very unwell over Christmas and New Year, and she and I had a nice chat just before then, and she wound up in hospital. So Moira, I hope you're watching. I know you've been watching every week, and I hope you're keeping much, much better. Tonight, as many of you will know, I decided that today is a special day for my sisters and myself, because it's the 11th of January and we lost our mum in 1974, and every year on the 11th of January it comes around, and well, you never forget, you always remember, and you always remember many of the fun times. Somebody was speaking to me today and I said, I remembered when mum went to a car wash, and she was petite like me. She wasn't very tall, and she went to a car wash, and she'd just been to the hairdressers because they were going out that night, and drove into the car wash but couldn't quite reach to put the money in the slot, which is what you used to have to do then. And before she knew it, she never got her window wound up quickly enough, so two great big arms came in and kind of washed her hair. scrubbed her, filled the car with water. She was then in a panic and came back with, the car full of water, but it wasn't clean on the outside. There are lots of happy memories, lots of fun things, and it's always important to remember all the fun things. I'm going to sing a song that she sang, but I'm also going to sing some songs that were around at the time when we were growing up that she would sing with us in the car in her Hillman Imp, because I think she took 4 or 5 times to pass her test. She was a nervous driver, and I remember journeys when we would go in her Hillman Imp, 5 girls, a dog and a cat, and leave from Glasgow to come for our holidays to Aberdeen. These were journeys that took, well, longer than a transatlantic flight, about 8 hours. Anyway, let me sing one of Mum's songs that originally comes from the island of Mull. And Ferry is something that many people will remember Mum singing. And I was speaking to Uncle Alistair earlier today to ensure that I got all the right words. So here we go. And of course, there's no accompaniment tonight because, well, we're all being very careful and it's very wet outside. And until we know what's happening, I'm just going to sing with you, my darling, by my side.
Good.
Good. Good. Okay, have you heard of Ferry? It's where you get the ferry and you go to Iona.
Not a clue. No.
Not a clue. You see, these East Coasters, I mean, I'm not going to brandish you all on the East Coast, but frankly, our geography should be better. This is a song called Ferry. I mind the day I sailed away, 'twas only Morag knew, to travel and toil on alien soil and win the world for you. We feigned good cheer to staunch the tear, with song and whistle merry, and fondly kissed in the morning mist as I took the Fiona ferry from Skerryvore to Singapore, from Mull to Mandalay. Your thoughts and mind in dreams entwined, though ever so far away. I dream of gulls on silver sand, of seals in wave-worn Skerry, and the day of days when I shall stand aboard the Fiona ferry. A weary smile, a weary while 'neath torrid sun, my labours I fulfil, and you on the Isle of Holy Ones await my coming still. And whether the primrose star the ground, or rowan be in berry, I'll sail once more Iona Sound, and board the Fiona ferry, from Skerryvore to Singapore, from Mull to Mandalay. Your thoughts and mind in dreams entwined, though ever so far away. I dream of gulls on silver sand, of seals on wave-worn Skerry, and the day of days when I shall stand aboard the Fiona ferry. Excellent. Oh, the golfer likes that one, even although you've never heard of Fiona before. Well, you're more of a Malig man, aren't you?
Yeah, Malig Ullapool.
Malig and Ullapool. When we first met, Francis invited me to Ullapool, and I went from London. I was working on Record Breakers at the time. Do you remember this romantic?
Very much so.
Can't remember at all. All I know is I arrived there and he seemed to have forgotten that he'd invited me. And somebody came and very kindly looked after me for a while. And then he took me on board one of the factory ships, which was very exciting because many of you may know, many of you may not know, my husband Francis, the golfer, works in the fishing industry. So at that time, it was all these boats off Ullapool. They were factory ships, Francis, weren't they?
Yeah, sorry.
And how many people would have been on board?
Depending, maybe 120 up to 300.
120 up to 300 people on board, and they would process the fish on board. So it was very important to do a deal on board. And he will remember this part of it. He said to me, now, whatever you do, agree with whatever the captain says. If he gives you a drink, it could be 100 proof vodka, just drink it. If he gives you any food, eat it. So captain came beautifully attired, gave me a large vodka and went, Nostrovia. Sank it down. Francis looked at me and I went, Nostrovia, slancher. Well, after 2 of those, I insisted on singing the Skye boat song, the Mingulay boat song, Fiona, Ferry, any old boat song I could think of. I got off this boat, reeling, having had the best time. I thought the captain was fabulous. Francis did manage to do the deal despite the fact that I don't think we were even engaged at that point. I probably put you off by my behaviour.
I was worried.
He was worried, like he's worried now. Are you doing the crossword?
No.
No, just
reading.
Just reading, okay. So that's my story about Ullapool. Now, going on from, I wanted to say a few messages that I got today. Thank you so much. I mean, hundreds of messages from lots of people. I had a lovely message from Bill Reid, who used to work in the Tivoli Theatre, and it says, I have lovely memories of your father and mother when I worked at the Tivoli in the early 60s. He was also my boss as he owned the Tivoli at the time. Always a joy to operate the stage lighting for Callum. He gave me great interest in Gaelic music and song and an interest to learn more about the Gaelic and study it on my own and teach myself with records and books in the 70s and 80s. Bill says, a shame I'm so rusty with it these days. Living in the south, I never had anyone to talk to in the language. However, I still understand a lot whenever I see it in print and catch many words when spoken, and I have a dictionary to remind me of words I've forgotten. Slancher. Well, thank you, Bill. I mean, I don't speak fluent Gaelic at all either. I learned at my parents' knee because those days in the 60s, it wasn't that fashionable, and we were growing up in Glasgow. It was maybe amongst the Gaelic and the Highland fraternity, but often going to school you didn't speak Gaelic. But I'm going to sing one of my mum's songs, a little shortened version of one of her songs, which is partly in Gaelic and English, my faithful fond one, which I believe is also from the island of Mull. We're very, very much on the island of Mull, and I actually made a children's series called The Witch's Daughter on the island of Mull, so I've got a great connection with Mull and Iona and St Kilda and the West Coast. I just happened to marry an Eastie Beastie, an East Coaster who has a great love of the West Coast, I think it's fair to say. And we go to Harris every year. So this is Maroon Gillies, my faithful fond one. I've got Bronco sitting next to me, my faithful fond dog here. Maroon Gillies, 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 Maroon Gillies, nach Chilunal, ga Chil mi heen rood, chanud mi, och onje san hamish chin. My faithful fair one, my faithful fond one, my faithful fair, wilt not come to me on pain of death here. I must remain here with for sight of thee. Morungial Gilas, 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 Morungial Gilas, nach Gilunal, Gachil mi hein rut, Chanudni, Ochonyuchul, Sang Hamishati. There are about 8 verses. A round of enthusiasm from the golfer there. There are about 8 verses, and I don't know them to my shame, but I will learn them. But I just so remember Mum singing this. It also made me think of what Mum used to sing with us when we were in the car. And that Hillman Imp will forever be etched on my mind. My dad had this great Rover with leather seats and I think wind-up windows, and then he had a Jaguar which had electric windows, which was really exciting. Mum's Hillman Imp. How she got 5 girls in there, a cat and a dog, I have no idea, but she did. And we drove on the old road to Aberdeen, and we would sing this. Now let me just find it. I'm going to ask Francis a question here because you might know the answer to this, Francis. Do you remember 7 little girls sitting in the back seat? Kissing and hugging with Fred.
Don't remember it.
Do you remember it?
I remember it.
Well, it was a song. Would you remember who recorded it first? This is probably a question for Colin Manders. Colin Manders, who...
Connie.
It wasn't Connie, but it was a group in America. I'm going to sing it while you listen. So this is what we would do in the car. 7 little girls sitting in the back seat, kissing and hugging with Fred. I said, why don't one of you come up and sit beside me? This is what the 7 girls said. All together now, 1, 2, 3. Keep your mind on your drive and keep your hands on the wheel and keep your soupy eyes on the road ahead. We're having fun sitting in the back seat, kissing and hugging with Fred. Ba-doopy-dum-dum, ba-doopy-dum-dum, ba-doopy-dum-bum-bum. Drove through the town, drove through the country, showed them how a motor could go. I said, how do you like my triple carburetor? And they whispered very low, all together now, 1, 2, 3. Keep your mind on the drive and keep your hands on the wheel and keep your soupy eyes on the road ahead. We're having fun sitting in the back seat, kissing and hugging with Fred. Ba-doopy-dum-bum, ba-doopy-dum-bum, ba-doopy-dum-bum-bum. 7 little girls sitting in the back seat, everyone in love with Fred. I said, what did he say? I said, you don't need me, I'll get off at my house. This is what the little girls said. All together now, 1, 2, 3. Keep your mind on